All right. Now we're going to talk about the Dirty Dozen, which I kind of like. The FAA put this together. Oh, not really the FAA. Let's give credit where credit is due. Part 2, the Dirty Dozen. Dirty Dozen was actually created by Gordon DuPont. And Transport Canada. They conducted a study throughout the late 1980s into the 1990s to determine the cause of human error that led to aviation accidents. So they take a look at all these accidents and they distilled it down to basically 12 causes, human factors that cause these accidents. So across the street in our lab, which you have not seen yet, there are 12 posters up on the wall called the Dirty Dozen. Found them back in the closet. I put them up. So, first was like, okay, that's kind of cute. 12 little posters, 12 little cartoons about various Dirty Dozen things. But then I found out the story behind all the cartoons, or most of them. And they're not so funny. So we're going to take a look at these. So there's 12 of them. So we're going to be here a while. So this is kind of a long module. Not that you care. All right, so they put together this study. They identified the 12 causes, which the FAA stole and calls the Dirty Dozen. Because there are 11 of them. All right. So we're going to take a look at each one of them. And kind of dissect them. So the first one is called lack of communication. The guy right here is kind of looking at the horizontal stab up here. It says, I guess day shift can finish screwing on the panels. And I guess they can, but they won't. Because one is lack of communication. So for each one, we'll have a definition, lack of communication. Remember what we're talking about, because as we get through 12 of them, it's like, what are we talking about again? Talking about the causes of aviation accidents. What Transport Canada and Gordon DuPont distilled down and said, if we could eliminate these 12 problems, we'd pretty much eliminate aircraft accidents. And wow, we went like 15 years in the United States without an aviation accident. We went a long time. Let's see, lack of communication. Which is lack of clear, direct statements and good active listening. What is active listening? Yeah.
2 years, one mouth.
2 years. My wife does this thing. So you do it with your students. I'm like, nope. 2 hands, 2 eyes. Anybody heard that? So give me 2 hands, 2 eyes with the kids. And she holds their hands and she talks to them. So holds their hands and looks at them. So you don't want me doing that to you, right? No, if you want me to do it, so I eyes with you. It's like, try it. So yeah, active listening skills. Pilots, come on, you should know this. Turn left to heading 360. Oh, why did I pick that one? Turn left to heading 270. What do you say next? Pilots?
Left 270?
Yes. Do you say Roger that?
Roger that, or
Oh, you don't say
yeah,
Roger.
but
You don't say Roger that.
next year you're rubbing shoulders. It's like, oh, okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Controller says turn left 270. You say turn left 270, 735 Quebec Mike. You say exactly what they just told you and your end number. It's active listening. It always bugs me when, in critical situations, people go, Roger that. Did you really hear what I said? Hey, I left my flashlight in that wing. Can you get it out before you put the cover off?
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, what? So active listening is Got it. Flashlight in the wing, getting it out. So you're repeating what you heard. You're stating the same thing so you can both hear what's going on, which is really critical when you're doing a turnover, shift turnover. Hey, I didn't torque the prop on yet. I just put it on and I got the nuts finger tight. I gotta go. You got it? Yes. The prop nuts are not torqued. I got it. Hey, let's write that down. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. All right. So, what is the safety net? Safety net for this. Okay, lack of communication is the problem. What is the safety net? The solution. 1. Put it in writing. Shift turnover. Okay, hey, I didn't tighten the hoses I put on, which is a huge deal with me. Prop, I put it on, didn't torque it. You got that, right? You remember? Yeah, Roger that. Nah, you're gonna make a list of things you didn't do. Or in my shop, we actually hang little tags on every little item. So, 2. Discuss the work performed. Again, active listening. We can repeat what you heard. Never assume, obviously. All right, so back to our little cartoon. Guy's looking up here, and this little panel right there is off. But however, the real story is on November 33701 on September 11th, 1991. That's a different September 11th. Continental Express Brasilia crashed in a cornfield near Eagle Lake, killing all 14 on board. The horizontal stabilizer had separated from the fuselage, leading to severe pitchover and subsequent disintegration of the aircraft. I didn't write that. I copied that. They used the word disintegration. The cause, failure of mechanics to properly communicate at shift change at the top left horizontal leading edge screws were removed. So what happened is, you see the picture of the airplane right here. You see how tall that is. So one shift had taken all the screws out of this leading edge. And they had a shift change, and it wasn't easily identifiable going up. And so the inspector used a flashlight, if I got the stories right here, and looked at it. Rather than getting a ladder, there's a whole story goes on about how the ladder wasn't there and this and that. So he didn't climb up there, didn't look. Well, all the screws were missing out of this leading edge. Plane takes off, everybody on board. Here you can see, let me zoom in a little bit. There's a complete horizontal stabilizer. Here it is missing all of that. So what happened is it pitches over, goes nose down. There's nothing you can do to control at that point. So the airplane's out of control, headed straight for the ground. And that's what it did. So what happened? Lack of communication at shift change. People in a hurry. So we want to make sure that we have good communication.
Was that 14 all the passengers in the plane?
Everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody survived. Let's see. All right, safety nets. Use logbooks, worksheets, communicate, remove doubt, discuss work to be done, what's been completed, never assume. Guy assumed something was going on up there. I don't know if I actually put this in my slides, but in aviation we talk about, or it's actually James Reason, he's the one that came up with this, the Swiss cheese model. And I've always kind of liked the chain link model, but it's the same concept. So every time you have a little something, nothing in aviation is ever caused by just one catastrophic thing. It's always a combination of little things that lead up to an accident. And so each slice of cheese is one little problem. And when the cheese lines up so that there's a hole through it, that's an aviation accident. I like I said, the accident chain. It's just a links in the chain. So when you study this stuff, it's always one thing. So we could look at this and go, okay, what was it? Well, they had to take off the horizontal stabilizer. Not a big deal. Happened at shift change. Okay, problem. They didn't put the screws. So any one of these things would have solved the problem. Still had to take off the stabilizer for reasons. If they would have hung a red tag up high, would have solved it. If they would have hung the bag of screws so it could be seen from the ground. If they would have had a checklist, something in writing when they turned over. If the ladder hadn't been borrowed by somebody else to do something away from the airplane and the inspector had access to the ladder. And see how it just goes on and on and on. So the whole idea here is you got to break that chain. If any one of those links are removed, oh, there's the ladder. I'll go check. There you go. Right? Or not to blame the inspector, but you got to inspect that. It's hard. You know, I've inspected a lot of things. And when I built engines, I worked in a dark room doing non-destructive testing, sometimes for days at a time. And you're in the dark room, you've been looking at stuff all day long, and you grab a part and you're like, oh my God, it's this again. I have never, ever seen one of these broken. And yet I'm supposed to inspect it. And yet this is the 100th one I've looked at, and it's never broken. And you hear yourself saying this, and that's at the point where you got to stop and go, okay, wait a minute. And it's your self-talk. You've got to do this in your own brain. Can you hear yourself right now? You're saying you're not going to do a good job. You're thinking of skipping it. Are you serious? You know, this, okay, we're going to spend twice as long looking at it now. You know, teach myself a lesson. And then you get done looking at it and go, see, it wasn't broken. Told you. But anyway, so when the laziness bug starts to hit you, I'm tired. I don't want to get the ladder. This plane's got to go. Blah, blah, blah. That's when you have to take a step back, slow way down, and re-engage and do the right thing. Because 14 people died. Let's see. Oh, this goes right along with what I just said. Complacency. This guy said, I've looked back there 1,000 times and never found anything wrong. A lot of my good stories come from learning from other people's mistakes. And I remember when I first started doing inspections, working under somebody who was a seasoned inspector, and like, oh, we got to take this off and get back there. Are you kidding me? I mean, practically said this. I've looked back there 1,000 times. That thing's not going to break. It's never going to break. Don't worry about it. Well, that's exactly when you say, today I'm looking at it, because you just told me you haven't looked at it because you don't believe it'll never break. So that is complacency. And it's easy to get complacent. 2, complacency. Self-satisfaction accompanied by loss of awareness of the dangers. I don't know what this self-satisfaction necessarily means. Accompanied by a loss of awareness of the dangers. Sometimes this stuff creeps up on you so fast. That's why I guess this has to be day one stuff. I was doing that inspection on Saturday of an airplane, a little Cessna 150, and you have the horizontal stabilizer, and there's a little trim tab in the back. And the trim tabs always have a little bit of play in them, but the play has to be measured, and it's not supposed to exceed 0.112. And so I'm doing my inspection, I got my flashlight, I got the whole thing, coming around, I inspect that, I wiggle a little bit, and I go, yeah, it wiggles about the same as it wiggled last time I checked it 100 hours ago, which was last month. So it's good. And then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What did I just do? Did I measure it? Got complacent. Felt like it did last time. Didn't measure it. That's good or bad? That's what we talk about. Omission?
It's intentional.
Intentional omission, isn't it? Yeah. Well, obviously, if I'm bringing it up, what do you think I did next? Yeah, it's either go home and knock it off because you're not doing it right, or get the damn stick out and measure it. So it took me all of 1 minute to get the stick out, up and down, measure it, measure that, done. Okay, look, guess what? It was good. Oh, you're right. Okay. How hard was that? Not to mention, I know me. If I would have went home that night, I would have laid awake all night going, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, I should have done it. Until the point where I'd get up in the middle of the night and go do it. So not expecting to find a flaw during inspections or carelessness due to overconfidence. Yeah, I've done it before. It'll be fine. Don't have to worry about it. What's my safety net? Safety net. Well, kind of what I did. Acknowledge the reality. Acknowledge the reality of the situation. What is the reality of the situation? Could be a fault. People are depending on you with their lives to do what you said you're going to do. If they know that you're going to be lazy about it, maybe they would ask somebody else to do it. 2, train yourself to be aware. You have to be aware of that self-talk in your head when you start to get lazy. Nobody else can fix that because nobody else can hear it. Only you can hear what's going on in your head. I sometimes wish I could understand what was going on in my students' heads. It'd be helpful. Be a really good teacher. It's like, what are you thinking right now?
Or what aren't you thinking?
Huh?
I said, or what aren't you thinking?
What are you thinking? Ooh. Complacency. Some of these don't always have to do with maintenance in the way you think. But there's this happy guy. I looked back there 1,000 times and nothing ever seemed wrong. Well, that's not what happened in this fund. Complacency. All of these little cones are what used to be the loadmaster. A person. And what's left of them is underneath the bag. So the story is they had a problem. Again, it's a bunch of things happened. The battery was dead. Something was wrong. It wasn't quite right. They had to plug in a battery, external battery pack to get the engine running. They did that. They got the engine running. For hundreds of times, this loadmaster was used to getting out of the door, walking by this prop, pulling the battery out, putting the cart away, walking back, getting in, this engine getting started. Well, for whatever reason this day, they started this engine, and then he had to unplug the battery cart. Got out, walked right through the prop. You typically will only do that once in your life. We have to work around props a lot. And that's why I say, I like you, your mommy loves you, props hate you. They're the one thing on this planet that wants to see you dead. So be careful around props. I've had to work around a lot of moving props. And boy, problem is when you're working on an airplane, like I worked on a lot of engines and installing engines, so we can just say like, here's an airplane, and so here's the engine, and the prop goes this way, right? So the prop would spin around like this. And so when you're working on this engine and you're putting it on, you're going to spend a whole week over here, you're going to do something, you got your little cart, you're going to come around over here, do this, and you're constantly walking around the prop while you're building the engine. You're putting it together, putting all this stuff on. So you really get this pattern of going back and forth. Then the next day you're out there and you're running it, and you may have to adjust something or go up next to the engine, which I tried never to do. And you got earplugs in and you're kind of focused, you're thinking, what is your natural tendency to do? Same thing you've been doing all week. So I always had a thing where I would grab onto something and I would just I wouldn't even stop saying it. Don't let go, 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 don't let go. And then I would back off. Because otherwise, that's what happens. You don't want that. All right, complacency. So safety net. Got that. Carelessness due to overconfidence. 3, lack of knowledge. We have a funny thing about our FAA. It's called a certificate. Often people say license, but the FAA doesn't license you. It has something to do with tort law. I don't really understand that. So it's called a certificate. So you have an AMP certificate, not an AMP license. But our United States certificate has no limitations on it. So my AMP certificate is good from the smallest of small planes to the largest of large planes. I am certificated to work on them. But according to certain regulations, I can't. but it's an honor system. So, for example, if somebody came up running in here and said, "Oh, there's a fire in the 737 out there. It's got a starter generator is bad on it. We need you to come out and change starter generator. Anybody here at AMP?" I would have to say, "I am, but I've never changed a starter generator on a 737 or the constant speed drive on a 737. So I can't really do that legally. I can go out there and figure it out, which I shouldn't. We have the manual. I read the manual step by step. I do it. I did it. And something happens. The FAA says, "Okay, how were you trained to do this?" Well, I wasn't. You can't do that. So it is an honor system. And it's an honor system until they find out, until there's a problem. There's no problem until there's a problem. And they say, "You did what now?" Now, somebody came running in here with the Cessna 182 and said, "My alternator's out." I'm like, "I got this, man. I've changed many of these. I know what I'm doing." So, I'm good with those planes, so I can do that. And then I've had just enough knowledge to be dangerous on, because I've had training on 747s, but that doesn't mean I should be working on them. All right, so lack of experience or training. So lack of experience or training. For task at hand. For task at hand. So let me tell you, if you don't know aircraft owners, so I'll write this, violates FAR. What's FAR stand for? Federal Aviation Regulations. It's also called 14 CFR, which is the proper way to say it, which is Title 14 of the Code of Federal Regulations. Those are the same things, just written different, 65.81. So if I go to chapter 65, look up subparagraph 81, it will tell me something about you cannot perform maintenance on an aircraft for which you don't have proper tools, documents, and experience training. And then that will get you on that. And then I was going to say something really profound, and I just stopped halfway. Anybody remember what I was talking about? It's something. You're not listening. It's okay. It was really important.
Maintenance on some
You were rebuilding a 737 without permission.
737.
Yeah, I passed right by
The
that.
generators.
I was way past that. No. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You don't know aircraft owners. That's what I said. For the most part, you have never met a cheaper bunch of tightwads in your life.
Amen.
Amen.
You have a plane? That's right. You have the 172 RG.
Yep.
That is a very expensive Cessna. Anything where the gear goes up and down on a Cessna, it doubles the maintenance cost. Insurance costs go up by 5. Anyway, we're a cheap bunch of people. Sometimes you wonder, are you trying to kill yourself? I mean, are you using me in the airplane to do it? Because it sure seemed like it. In fact, I actually said that to somebody the other day. He got so pissed at me. He's going to give his airplane to his grandson, and his exhaust system had 2 large cracks in it. And he's like arguing that they're fine, and that I should just send it down to the local weld shop, just have them run a bead on it. And I said, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah. I go, do you hate your grandson? He got so pissed. Why would you say something like that? I'm like, well, you're trying to kill him, so I don't know. I had no other way to express myself to him, I guess. Anyway, so you're going to get your AMP, and all these little airplane owners are going to hear about it, come out of hey, you just got your AMP. Could I pay you $100 to do something that the shop was going to charge me $2,000 to do? Yeah, it happens. I mean, it's just, could you overhaul my engine? I'll give you $100. Yes. Well, how come you don't take it to the overhaul shop? Are you kidding me? They want $50,000. I'll buy the parts. I'll give you $200. We'll double it, $200 plus a Chick-fil-A coupon. How about it? So, yeah, and so, to be very blunt about it, you're going to get an AMP certificate, and please don't ever say this to me because I hate it. Well, it's a license to learn. Okay, first of all, you don't need a license to learn, so stop saying that. It's stupid. If you think you need a license to learn, it could explain a lot of stupidity in life. I don't have a license to learn. So don't say license to learn. You just don't know crap when you get out of here. I mean, you know the basics, and you know enough. You should know enough to be safe. You should know your limitations, and you should know good basics of aviation maintenance. What everything is, how it works together, the systems, be able to read books, be able to figure things out, but you still need to work under somebody. And I've seen far too many people outside of the airport who just get out of here and like, yep, I'm doing it, man. I'm a AMP and brand new. And I see the work they do, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty bad. And I told the FAA, you should see the work they do. And they did. And they said, yeah, that's pretty bad. We should have a talk with them. You do not want the FAA showing up and saying we need to have a little chat. All right. So be careful with that. Lack of experience. You're going to have a lot of opportunities to violate that one. Make sure you have the experience and do what you're doing. I'm supposed to do an annual inspection on a Piper M class coming up. I have never done an annual inspection on a Piper M class, so I said, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to Piper M class school first. So, go out there, get the training. It's never too big or important to go say, I don't know how to do that.
So
but,
Kevin,
yeah.
as future mechanics, we say we go into businesses ourselves, LLC, whatnot, and we want to gain experience. We look for manufacturers that are hosting, training,
Yeah, though I think one of the worst things anybody could ever do is graduate and go, yeah, I see it happen. Yeah, I graduated, now I'm going to work for myself. And just go out there and hang their shingle and start working. You are a disaster. And I wish there was somebody who would put a stop to this, but it's not illegal. It's just stupid. Because the amount of stuff you don't know is incredible.
So an internship is a better.
You have to
course
have
of
an
action.
internship under somebody who's good.
Okay.
Now, some people pick up really bad habits working for internships too. So I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword. But so the 3 guys I have in my shop, they're all students here. One is currently a student. One graduated and got his AMP last week. And another one got his AMP like a year ago, also one of my students. And I'd put my 3 guys up against, they're just incredible. But what makes them so incredible is they know their limitations. They come they'll stop before they get that. And they'll call, they'll ask, they'll pull me over. But, they're just very conscientious. Give them any sort of task and you can just walk over and it's open to the manual's open to that page. Right? They don't, they show me how to do this. And it's like, I'm gonna look. And that's their instructions, go look. And we'll talk about it. So, and then I walk them through it. We do it together if they've never done it before. So, yeah, you gotta work under somebody. Although I worked under somebody, and half my stories are from working under that person. So, okay, where am I? Lack of knowledge, safety net. Safety net. Don't do anything you're not trained to do. Do not do anything you are not trained to do. Now I'm going to actually take a Lycoming 4-cylinder 0290 engine. I'm going to give you a group of 4. You guys break up into a group of 4s, not in this class. And you're going to take an 0290 that was actually running. You're going to completely disassemble it. You're going to measure every single part. You're going to inspect it. You're going to put it back together. You're going to put it on a stand, and you're going to run it. So that is teaching somebody how to do an overhaul. Should you do an overhaul? Yeah, I showed you most of the stuff, but in 4 weeks I can't teach all the stuff. So I'd still say, you're not quite qualified to, but get a little bit more experience. Although I've been to Lycoming school, and I'm going to teach you everything I learned at Lycoming school. So just be careful. Know your limitations.
Kevin, I'm the kind of person that would buy a motor if I knew it was working and take it home with the proper manuals, take it apart, put it back together, and have it be inspected and tested by someone else to ensure that my work was done. But it's like, I guess that's just a my learning style is the hands-on and put my not figure it out as I go, but learn as I'm taking it apart and apply what I'm learning and the knowledge that I'm grasping to.
Sometimes the amount of things you need to know to do that are overwhelming. Like I said, stacked together, the Lycoming instructions for that is this thick.
Right.
Are you willing to read that? Are you?
Well,
Because that's what it takes.
yeah.
So when I took over the engine shop where I worked, I had really good training, but I also could see some things weren't done right. And I could also sense that some things were missing. And so so I had all the basics. I mean, I probably could have just done exactly what they did, monkey see, monkey do. But I took those books, that thick, and I took them home, and I went through them, and I made notes. So not to bore you to death, but I would take a legal pad, and there's a page in there that says which service bulletins and letters are applicable to that engine. So I'd write down one line, every single one. I got like 6 or 7 pages, one line, and then I would go through each one and read it and write a one-sentence thing. Oh, this has to do with fuels. This has to do with that. And then I would start. Oh, this one is about how to put together the oil pump gears, or this is how you install the crankshaft gear. And I would start, put a star. Then I'd go back through them again. Then I'd compile it until I got it condensed to, okay, this is what is applicable. This is what has to be done. And then I would go through it. And one day the boss goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm explaining. He goes, he was shocked. He's like, "Because how the hell would you know that?" And I'm like, "It's just in the book. All you got to do is read the book. Just the book is that thick, but you got to read it. It's right there." The amount of stuff that I discovered in our shop by taking books home and reading was just incredible. It's like, you can't do that. So, not my shop I have now. It's different. All right, continue to get training. Use the manual. Oh, manuals, that's a good one. So for the school here, I subscribe to the Cessna 100 series manuals, which anybody, once you're out of 309, I will give you access to that. So you can have access to your brand new manuals for your airplane. I didn't say that. So Cessna 100 series, your 120, 140, 150, 152, 170, 180s. I don't think it covers the 190s because that's an antique. Probably the 166, 182. How much 182? There you go. There's pretty much all of them. What do you suppose I pay per year for this maintenance library? $100, $500, yeah.
At least 1,000?
At least 1,000?
Either like $50 or like clear of 2,000.
5,000. Actually, I think it's 7, by the way. A year. Okay, that's Cessna. I also work on Piper, Beechcraft. All the other ones in there. Yes, manuals are very, very expensive. That's a whole nother topic. All right, let's see. Use the manual. Ask for help. Ask for help from qualified people. Who are qualified people?
People that are trained.
What?
The FAA?
Yeah, they don't like to answer those questions.
People that are trained to do it.
Yeah, who's trying to do it? How about that guy on YouTube? I got called up and kind of yelled at one day because I did a video about changing the window in my Cessna 182, which was interesting because I had never changed a window in a 182. And so I went to my good buddy who I know has recently done them, and I said, "Okay, tell me about changing the window in the 182." And he's like, "Oh yeah, we de-rivet all this stuff right here. It's like 100 and some odd rivets." And he goes, "Oh, don't bother trying to rivet back in. It'll take you too long. We use screws. Screws." I'm like, "Screws? Yeah, they're totally approved in the manual." Okay. So, I kind of leave going, yeah, I just don't know that screws are approved, especially the ones he used. They were stainless. They're not structural. So I read the book. You know what the book said?
Don't use screws.
Pull any of that crap out. It says get 2 people. One person in the pilot's seat, and one pilot's in the co-pilot. And you put your feet up on the window and you push until it pops out. That's what it said. So that's how I got it out. No screws, no rivets, no nothing. It pops right out. And so I did a YouTube video on it, and then to put it back in, it's very difficult. You put it in, you have to kind of push it and get it. And I couldn't video at the same time. Anyway, so I did this video about it. Some guy called up and he was like, "Man, you need to do a much better job of your videos. I'm trying to follow you along to do my own airplane. You left out a few important steps." I'm like, "Dude, buy the manual, man." So, anyway, he asked for help. So qualified people is not the guy on YouTube. So who is qualified people? A reputable shop that's done it before, somebody reputable who's done it, right? Like, if I haven't done something before, I'll ask Larry. Larry works on a lot of airplanes too, or ask Phil. You know, these are my people I go to. Hey, have you ever done this, Larry? Yeah, I have. Okay, can you teach me how you do it? Train me, and he'll train me, or vice versa. Or I'll call a tech rep. Tech reps are great, but be careful when you call tech reps. They're expecting to talk to a professional. You better know the make, the model, the serial number, time since overhaul, what's happened before, what's happened next. You better have read the manual, be able to quote stuff. Yeah, I've just read. Don't call me, yeah, I'm trying to, put a magneto on. I'm not sure what to do, dude. You know what they're going to tell you? Why don't you call a mechanic who knows what they're doing? So tech reps are great, but they don't have time for your nonsense, so make sure you don't bring any nonsense to them. Let's see. Oh, this one's almost kind of funny. Actually, it is. All right, what do you say? So lack of knowledge. We got a lack of knowledge problems. This is the third one to bend. What's going on? So the guy keeps doing the same thing over and over again, different results, although the accident here has nothing to do with it. Nobody got hurt on this one. This happened at Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia. This is 747. The hydraulic pumps don't work off of the outboard engines. They work off the inboard engines, if I remember correctly. Let me see. Needed to taxi aircraft from hangar to departure gate. They started the number 1 and 4. Yes, number 1 and 4, the outboard engines. And they did not realize hydraulic pumps are powered by the 2 and 3. They're the inboard. So on a lot of aircraft systems, especially large ones, we have what's called an accumulator. An accumulator is a charge of hydraulic fluid. It's like I guess the easiest way to explain it would be, imagine a very long cylinder with a piston that has air pressure on it. And as the hydraulic fluid is used up, this piston grows out and pushes on the hydraulic fluid. So it seems like there's an endless supply of pressure until the piston gets to the end. Well, that's an accumulator. And got to the end, and they hit the brakes, and they just did absolutely nothing because the hydraulic pumps were they're on the engines that weren't operating. So now, I don't know, I wasn't there, but they could have put the thrust reversers on maybe and backed up, but they didn't, and so they rolled right in there. Oops, and I don't think that will buff out. I'm not sure what a new 747 costs.
I'm sure some Bondo can fix it.
Yeah. You're going to want to use that Bondo with the fiberglass in the wait, this is the fun. The brakes more than likely lasted. I didn't write this. This is actually off the FAA website. Lasted until the aircraft is lined up on the monsoon drainage ditch. Then these poor guys were on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Does anybody know Mr. Toad's Wild Ride? Where is that from? And what happens to Mr. Toad on the ride?
Goes to hell.
He goes to hell. This is not a children's ride. Okay. There were minor injuries to the crew, mostly to their ego, I would imagine. Okay. Next one, distractions. Distractions. Loss of focus, mental or emotional confusion or disturbance that draws one's attention away. What do you suppose is the number one distraction these days?
Cell phones.
Cell phones. My wife doesn't listen to this. My kids don't either. But yeah, I'm reasonably convinced that there's an entire generation of people that just can't. You get that dopamine fix from checking your phone all the time. You just can't go without checking. Literally, I've got kids who just can't. I mean, they have to look at their phone every few minutes. And it's something that you have to refocus your brain on. It's really dangerous when you're working on aircraft to get distracted in the middle of something. There's certain tasks that you should never walk away from, no matter what. It's hard for me because I answer the phone in the shop all the time, and I also work, and so it's like right in the middle of this, and the phone rings. I run off to get it, and it's like I'm asking for trouble. I'm admitting it right now. But a lot of times I will say I can't. Just look at the watch, man. So, nah, I'm not gonna. Or the guys will, hey, I need you to come help me with this. I'm like, not till this is done. Or I'll take it off and start again. Say, nope. Okay, if I got to answer the phone, then I'll just unscrew something, lay it down, and okay, never mind. We'll do it later. But yeah, the phone is a big deal. So safety net. Safety net. Well, this is probably me. Put phone away. Sometimes I'll just put my phone on silent, stick it in the toolbox, and I'll look at it later when I get around to it. Finish. Finish the job before you walk away. That's the same thing. Tag it. In my shop, we use tags. So you're taking notes on your phone, huh? And it's like, I keep right now. That dude's texting, but I can see he's like looking. Told you, it distracts me. Now I don't remember what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Distractions. Oh, thank you. Tag it. We have 2 tag system. We hang red tags on things that are incomplete. Something. I mean, even the obvious stuff. Green tags when they're done and ready to be inspected. So, do something. As a pilot, I was taught this one. Go back 3 steps. So you have your checklist. You're doing a pre-flight check on your aircraft. It's like you've checked the prop, you've checked the front, you checked the tire, now you're checking the aileron, and somebody interrupts you, you go, dang it. You go back 3 steps, back to the prop, now I check this, now I check that. So you always go back 3 full steps. When I was building engines, of course, I always had the manual open. I mean, I knew what it was going to say. It's like I practically had to memorize, but I always have it open, always look at the steps, right? And so if I got distracted, which I always was, I go, okay. Let's go back here, here, here. Okay, step 4 was to do this. So I go back. Okay, that is done, checked, torqued. Next step, that is good and done. And I would just go down until I got to the spot where, okay, that's where I left off. I remember now. Which means you use a checklist. I need you to calm down, sir. All right, one of my if I were king for the day of the aviation community, we use safety wire a lot, but not enough in aviation. And so very critical things are safety wired. Like the prop is safety wired. Oh, well, not on my plane, it's not safety wired. Well, okay, so the carburetors never safety wired. The magnetos, no, they're not safety wired. The oil filter, that's safety wired. There we go. Okay, hoses. So for some strange reason, hoses are not safety. They don't have any safety provisions at all. They're just tightened on. I think more people have been killed by hoses than anything else in aviation. I'm reasonably convinced of this. I was involved in several NTSB investigations. My shop, not the one I have now, but where I used to work, which is not there anymore, where we would, because we had the engine shop, we were trusted to do engine stuff. And I had one, it was rather comical. So it was a Lycoming 4-cylinder, 200-horse engine. And so we had to get up on this test stand and get it all ready to run, but we weren't allowed to do anything to it until the AFA and the NTSB get there. Now, when you do an AFAA or NTSB teardown or any inspection, a lot of times, but not always, you will have 1 to 3 FAA guys, 1 or 2 NTSB guys, and this many attorneys. So you have an attorney for the mechanic, engine manufacturer, the aircraft manufacturer, the fuel injection manufacturer, the guy, it just goes on and on and on, all these attorneys. So we get this engine up on there. We use it, it's called a test club. And it's a prop that's only about that wide. It's 4-bladed, about that wide. It's going to take all 200 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot to you car guys, but it's a lot for us aviation guys. And a very short thing, and has this massive column of air that goes right across the engine. It's not no thrust out here. It's all in the core. And so what had happened, and I don't remember exactly, but I know that one of the hoses came off the fuel injection system, and the engine shut down on takeoff and crashed. And I don't know if the people died or whatever. But anyway, so they're doing this investigation, and they had a hypothesis that the hose was found off, that the mechanic had put the hose on finger tight. And so we had everything on wrench tight and ran the engine all the way up to full power and ran it for several minutes, and it ran so well. Okay, and then we shut it down, and then the FAA explained, NTSB explained to us the hypothesis that this particular hose was put on finger tight and vibrated off during the thing. So he said, I want you to take the engine, once you get a full power like takeoff, then I want you to go up there and loosen it up. And mind you, the thing you want to be loosening, it's like, it's the, you call it a spider, it's a fuel manifold valve. It's on top of the engine, prop's about that far away. Yeah, right there. So 200 horsepower, wide open throttle, 2700 RPM. He wants me to climb up on this thing, and I said, dude, I can't, I'm not going to do that. And he said some things about my mother and questioned my legitimacy in life, and told me that he was going to show me how it was done. And I will never forget this. It's been like 20 some years since this happened. It's so funny. I wish I had a video of it, because he had his shirt on with his pocket, and he had his sunglasses and his cigarettes and his lighter and I don't know, everything in his pocket. So I take this thing up the wide open. Mind you, it had short stacks too. It's super loud. I had double earplugs on. It's wide open. I'm like, go ahead. You know, everything's just pounding and the ground shaking. And he climbs up there. He got right in that prop wash and just goes, whoosh. And everything in his pocket was just gone. It's out. Our shop is out on the river. Just gone, man. And he turns around and goes, my back power off. I said, what's the matter? Then he said, how about we loosen it up like they would have done it, put it on finger tight, then start the engine up. So, okay, we did that. So loosen it up, put it on finger tight, started the engine up, ran it at idle for 5 minutes, and nothing happened. Take it up to 1700 RPM, where a pilot would have done a magneto check, run-up check, 1700, ran it there for like 15 minutes. He said, all right, wide open throttle, like takeoff, hit wide open throttle. I looked up at the nut and I watched it back off. About that long. Psh, sprays fuel all over, engine shuts down, fuel stops spraying. Wow, do it again. We did it over and over and over. So I tell you that story to tell you that probably the most dangerous thing in aviation are hoses. Because,
I was going to say, I've gotten knocked out by a hydraulic line.
Coming off?
Yeah, because one of my guys didn't do it right.
Yeah. You can put them on finger tight and they won't leak for a very short period of time and they look acceptable. So hoses kill people. I have a policy in my shop. There's this stuff called torque stripe. It's little paint. Have you guys seen it before? You go to like Disneyland and ride. I freaking hate this ride. It's the Ferris wheel thing with the gondolas. I don't like. I have a thing with heights. I don't like them. So I hate riding that. But I look over and I see all the torque paint on all the bolts and nuts. I'm like, okay, at least I did that. So we have a rule in my shop that you never leave a hose unattended. You put it on. You put you have to have paint in one hand and wrench in the other. You tighten it. You stripe it. You're not allowed to go tight. Let's see, where's my paint? There's my paint. Okay, paint. Let's see, yeah, I did that one. You've got to tighten and look at. You got to the whole time, right? And when I bought my airplane, I brought it home. First thing I did is ground it, took the cowling off, and did that to the hoses. I'm so paranoid about it. All right. So this distraction happened to a group who supports missionaries in the bush with radios and aircraft. One day they were maintaining a Piper Aztec. That's Piper Aztec right there. It's twin engine. Scheduled maintenance that day was a 100-hour inspection. Easy peasy, no problems there. 4 mechanics were working together to accomplish the task. That can get dangerous. One of the mechanics was reconnecting the fuel hose on the right engine after inspecting the fuel servo finger screen. That's something we do at every 100 hours. One of the other mechanics was having trouble timing a magneto on the left engine and asked for help. So the guy quickly finger tightened the fuel hose and began helping to install the magneto. He forgot the fuel line was loose. The inspection was completed and the aircraft was dispatched to haul freight and passengers. The aircraft had completed 2 legs of its first flight, taken off on its 3rd leg when the right engine burst into flames. The passengers and the pilot were killed. What's our problem here? What's our dirty dozen? Yeah, what's the heading? What is it? Distractions. So we got distracted, everybody died. Happens that fast. And as I read this, I'm thinking the mechanic had to help the other one. So he was the more seasoned, better mechanic. We go right back to sometimes the biggest mistakes happen to the people with most experience. Yeah. If you didn't know how to do a magneto, all right, so the chain of accidents, what could have happened? Not right now. I will be with you in a minute. Let me finish putting the hose on. Take the hose off. Just unscrew it. Screw it. Just unscrew it. Let it dangle. The engine won't start. Solve that problem. Oh, I forgot to hook the hose. You go to start the engine up. Fuel just runs out the bottom of the cowling onto the grass, kills the grass. Like, oh, well, there's my problem. I forgot to put those on. Nobody gets hurt. Or if it starts a fire, you can at least jump out. All right. What's next? Lack of teamwork. Lack of working together to achieve a common goal. Lack of working together to achieve a common goal. What's the goal?
Safe flying aircraft.
Safe flying aircraft. Everybody survives. B. What's my cartoon, by the way? The rest of the crew will be here soon. I'll bring this one myself. Hey, guy's just bringing an airplane in by himself. Yeah.
Literally 2 weeks ago, we had someone do this in my job.
Really?
Yeah. Jet bridge was all the way into the zone. He only had one wing walker. He was like, fine, I can wing walk it. I can just bring this in with my one wing walker. It'll be fine. Jet bridge had just had maintenance done, so it was all the way pulled into the safety zone. 3 inches from the top of the engine when that plane got parked. This much
Oh.
between plane being on the ground for X amount of days with a busted engine and a busted jet bridge.
Yup. In a hurry, lack of teamwork. Let me see. What's my safety net? Safety net. Communicate. I need help. I shouldn't be doing this by myself. Did he get fired? I mean, that's violating a company policy.
Yeah, no, he's going.
Yeah.
He's going.
Follow.
They checked one camera and he was going.
Follow procedures. Did he follow procedure? No. You're not supposed to do that by yourself. Confirm duties. I said duty. Yes, I do have the humor of an 8-year-old. Nothing's funnier than me potty humor. All right, confirm duties. We move a lot of airplanes around my shop too, right? Well, that's what you do. Everywhere you go, you move airplanes around. Everybody's shop moves airplanes around. But the worst job of moving airplanes I have ever seen in my life, and continues to be, here. So we need to move a 150. So if I said, I'm going to move the Cessna 150. Okay, first of all, Cessna 150 is easily moved by one person. But in a class this size, I would get at least half of you helping me push. So before you know it, we are pushing this Cessna 150 at a rate I'm worried it's going to start taking off because we're approaching the V speeds there. And everybody's pushing like this. All right, so, it's like, stop. All right, you watch the wingtip. You watch that wingtip. You know, you can help me. You watch the tail. I'll pull. We're fine. All right. So you gotta say it. Anybody here do CPR training? Yeah. What do they tell you? You don't yell out, "Somebody call 911." What are you supposed to do?
You find somebody, you sign them.
You point at them. You.
Know them.
Right? You confirm duties. Say it again. Duties. Yeah, at least I make myself laugh. Yes. That's what we do. All right. I don't think anybody died on this one. Yes, on-time departures are very important for airlines. It's prudent to have wing walkers watching the action during the pushback. They're vital members of the team. There are times when airlines allow the tug driver to conduct the pushback alone because there are no wing walkers available. This is just such a case. Can you see the lav truck parked behind the left engine? That's right back in there. Right back in there. This represents about $250,000 of the damage. Well, this is an old slide, so it's probably way more than that. And I don't know if that includes lost revenue, which adds a lot more to it. All right, you're probably not going to understand this one at this point in time, but fatigue. Getting tired? No, you've been sitting there. I'm the one doing all the work. Weariness from labor or exertion. Nervous exhaustion. Temporary loss, LOS, loss of power and ability to respond. In some ways it's like, I don't know about that one, but then I think about sometimes doing orals with my students, and you're sitting at the table and I get nothing. It's just crickets. And I'm like, how long do we sit here in total silence? Because you're nervous and you have a loss of power and ability to respond to me. So it does happen. Long hours working on aircraft. Take its toll. It's a very physical job. If you're working on large aircraft, you're climbing up and down ladders often, moving heavy pieces. You're working on small aircraft, you're contorting yourself into positions you don't like to be. 172 is about a perfect aircraft because the floor is nice and flat, nothing is too heavy on it, but you got to jack that damn thing up. Way up in the air. So, you do your own maintenance?
I do my maintenance, but I have an AMP and an AI that walk me through the
Where do you keep your plane?
Placerville,
Okay.
Hangtown Aviation.
What, Hangtown? Yeah. I don't really know them. All right, fatigue. We got that. Oh, we'll do some symptoms. Do you know the symptoms, your own symptoms? You should, when you're fatigued. Huh?
Donnie.
Is that, we all have our own. I get cranky. When I start getting a little cranky and short with people, I'm like, ooh, I'm tired. And I'm not bragging. That's a character flaw. That's not. I try not to do that. Okay, symptoms. Let's see. Reduced attention. What did he say? He said reduced attention. Diminished memory. My wife's never been that tired. Moody. See, when my daughter was in the class, she would listen to all these lectures over and over. Well, my wife was in the car with her, and she would hear this stuff. Let me see. Low situational awareness. What's situational awareness?
Knowing just what's going on around you.
You're not aware of your surroundings.
Not walking in your
Yeah, you usually, you walk into something.
Not walk into a problem.
Yeah, well, props are static too. I hit a prop one time. My head still hurts, and that was a long time ago. Feeling stressed. I have that problem. A lot of times I'll just get very stressed, very bothered about a lot of things. Just like everything becomes like this huge thing. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to need new tires in another 40,000 miles, and I can't believe that. And I got, this problem, and that's man, dang man, it's like you're just making up problems out of nowhere. It's like tired. It's like that commercial with the guy who needs a Hershey or the candy bar. Except sugar's bad for you. So, safety net. Safety net. Be aware of circadian rhythms. Those are those bugs that chirp, I think. You'd have to be from the
That's when you're supposed to wake up.
Yes. Okay, so we all have certain circadian rhythms, and that is your tendency. Who's a morning person? Morning person? All right, who are my night people? It's a real thing. It's your circadian rhythms. My wife, I could come home, I'll get home about 10:30, and I'll walk in the house freaking exhausted. I don't care what I've been doing. I'd have the whole day off. 10:30, I'm exhausted. And she's like, you know what? I've been thinking we should paint the house right now. Right? That's her rhythm. She starts picking up, and I go to bed, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, she comes in, it's like, all right, time for bed. But, I'll get up at 6, 7, or 8, and she would be happy to sleep until noon or 1, because that's just her rhythms. But she wanted a puppy, and I said no to the puppy. And she got a puppy anyway, so I make her get up with the puppies. She's up at 6. So when you're aware of your circadian rhythms, you have high points of your day and low points of your day. And by being aware of this, I schedule the highest, not priority, the most difficult tasks that I know I have to do that day, the one that require my most mental power. I like to do those around 10 or 11. I mean, I'm really good around 10, 11. Then after lunch, about 2 or 3, it's like, oh my God, not a good time, right? Then you start picking back up again. So know that about yourself, and you can plan out the things you're going to do according to your rhythms and where you work best. That's a real thing. Be aware of symptoms. Just talked about that, what makes you tired, yawning and stuff like that. This is going to be easier said than done for you now. Sleep. Make sure you get a lot of sleep when you're going to AMP school and working, and exercise regularly. I am very good at exercising regularly. I do it once every 3 or 4 months. Religiously. I mean, I never miss a month. Have someone check your work. All right, that's a big deal. When I built engines, I worked out at Clarksburg, which is just out here in where Clarksburg is if you're from around here. On the river. And it was Borges Airport, owned by Joe and Celia Borges. Well, when I was building engines, Joe and Celia were in their 90s. And so the boss, we're talking about having your work checked, and I had made up this QC. It was funny because I made up the QC list. I made up the whole procedure, and I remember the boss yelling at somebody, use the checklist. I don't care if you got to go up the house and get Celia down here to look at the dang engine. Get somebody to sign that. But there's truth to that. So if I did something, and I need somebody to check my work, and I grab you, and you're like, I have never done this before in my life. It's still okay in my book, because what's going to happen is I'm going to bring you over. Okay, let me show you what you need to check. You need to verify that I did that, and then this, and this, and this, and this. What am I doing?
Checking it yourself.
I'm checking it myself with her going over it. It doesn't work the same if I go, I can do it myself. I'll just check that it is. You should anyway, then get somebody over. When the guys in my shop say, hey, can you come check my work? The worst thing I could say is, I trust you. You've done it before. Because what are they asking? What are they depending on me to be?
Safety net.
I'm their safety net. And the last thing I want to do is say, I'm not your safety net today. I'm their safety net. They're asking for my help. They're asking so they can go to sleep at night, make sure they do a good job. So I got to make sure I do that. All right, let me think. So run you past your break. So let's do this. Oh, we got to look at the story, because that's fun. Let me see. Fatigue, that's what we're doing. Where's my story? This one doesn't have one, maybe? That one doesn't have one. All right, so no story for that one.